So this is Rewives. I have never, ever had a housewife on Rewives. That's not what the show is. Paul initially suggested I do a rewatch show and that it would be sort of more housewife central. And I decided to invite notable, famous, and interesting business people and celebrities to break down Housewives episodes and sort of attribute it to real life. And it's done really well. But I made an exception today. And so it was never about having housewives. So today I made an exception to that rule. And my guest today is Jill Zarin. So welcome to Rewives.
So happy to be here. And I love being the first.
Thank you. The first, possibly the only, we shall see. But definitely the first. And I'm really glad it is you because there have been different things that I've thought about, but it just didn't make sense. And this completely clicked. It was an amazing idea. It was Paul's idea. This was really the idea. The idea wasn't that we would have a reunion and talk about it everywhere else and make it a shoot. It was just he thought that we should break down the show on this show. He doesn't know all the context about us in detail, so he doesn't realize that we couldn't just get in here and start talking about them without talking about us. So on Just Be, we reunite, and now we're talking about the new show. So you just told me that it's season 14.
It's season. Okay, so I guess everybody who listens to the show knows what knows about Real Housewives, and it went through kind of a metamorphosis because it had a bad season. And
Real Housewives of New York had a bad season.
Instead of which a lot of people let it breathe, give it a year and a half, come back, maybe cast a few new people. They just completely decimated it and decided to break it off into two, and that they would completely get rid of everybody on the cast and hire a new cast. What I'm confused about is if they were going to do that, why not call it season 1, fresh and new? Gary was coming up with some names that it could have been, but not Real Housewives of New York City, which everybody knows what it is, who's on it, and without having a transfer of power, at least having them come on a few at a time and, transitioning to just start clean and call it season 14 is confusing.
Or call it something else. I'm saying
call it something else.
Because it's interesting.
Either way, I just don't understand.
It's like it's funny because before we were talking, you'll bring up your whole Rainbow Room and the Ramona and the original cast not being at the premiere. And we'll get into that. But it's like you're kind of dancing with two different people at the same time. Like you either get out or get in. Like they're sort of calling it season 14, as you pointed out to me. And so they're keeping the franchise name because they want the brand of the name.
Because when you sell the show and things like that, you get that extra. So if you're a fan of the Housewives of New York and you're going to start with episode 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to crawl and grab 14 and grab this new cast. So they get that kind of bonus. Otherwise, you'd have to go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so if it was season 1 of a new show, then somebody watching television would have to find this show and want to watch it and watch episode 1.
I'm saying, but we're saying
here
the same thing.
They're picking up season 14, so anybody who's watching 10, 11, 12, 13,
You're just saying
14,
they have a fan base. It's a brand.
They're bringing a fan base that I feel wasn't appreciated by how it was introduced at the Rainbow Room, which is what you just mentioned.
Well, you're saying that they're bringing. So I'm saying they're doing two things. They refreshed it completely with a new type of cast. They didn't refresh the name. They didn't invite the previous cast to the Rainbow Room. But I think it started with the announcement. I was on Andy Cohen's show, and he had publicly said he was shocked that I was doing Rewives because I had trashed the show so much, so to be doing a podcast about it. But it doesn't matter if I trashed the show or didn't, which I didn't trash. I just said I didn't want to be there. I still have a right to talk about something that I was involved in. So I have a show. A monkey could do a show about the Housewives if they want to talk about it. So certainly Bethenny Frankel can have a show talking about the Housewives. So there was a shade from Andy, and then I was on his show, and he was like, well, and also, you criticized the announcement. And I did criticize the announcement because I thought from a marketing perspective on one day to say, over here on the left, everybody, look over here. We're going to do a show with Legacy, but we have no fucking idea who's going to be on it. We're not going to tell you that now. We're just telling you we're going to do a Legacy placeholder.
One day.
Okay, we're putting a little thumbtack over here with no information because we ourselves don't know the information because we haven't cast it. Over here, everybody on the right, we're going to tell you another story. We're doing a completely new cast. You didn't know which way to look. You didn't understand what was happening. And I think it was like, it just was a botch job. It was like you didn't understand, and there was no good meat. It was just so they had to say something. Something had to be said. Okay, so that was my opinion. I thought it was boring. I don't understand what you just said. You said nothing. It's like, no, there's no meat. Who's the new cast? Who's the legacy? Like, it was just like weird, I thought.
I'm not going to disagree.
Okay. So that was how I was coming in. Then we find out that there's a whole new cast with a whole new refreshed show. And I, like you, think, okay, new blood in New York.
Yes.
It's like a new, good idea.
By the way, some of the girls were where you were when you started, right? Not married, starting out. Like,
you told me
you
your
can see
age.
them.
Like, you're not in the demo. Like, I'm in my 50s. I was in my 30s. I was one of the younger ones. We're not in the demo.
That's
like,
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's okay. Great. Go. Enjoy. Have a new show and call it whatever you want. And call it Housewives. So you're saying, I did not know this, that the existing, the previous New York Housewives were not invited to the premiere party.
So I read, there was a big premiere party. Listen, I'm not going to lie. Season 1, and you know this, okay, of course there was no budget for anything.
Parties.
Okay, I paid for, I think some of them, maybe we all paid $500 each. I don't know. Whatever it was, I remember hustling to try to get a free club, hustling to get booze, hustle, because nobody wanted to pay for it at the network or the production
the premiere
company.
Parties, and I never wanted any part of them.
I know, but I've got some cute pictures of you. I can give you those later too. By the way, I think I was the documentarian of the show. I have all the pictures.
I believe you.
And I have not, hoard them out.
Like, what was the outfit on the first show? What did you wear? What did I wear on the first?
I know Allie wore a red dress, like a little poof dress. I don't remember.
Do you know what I was wearing? Because I had a rainbow dress, but that was in
you were wearing
1.
black with silver at the premiere party.
Okay, fabulous. Okay.
I'm going to send to you. Anyway,
all right.
So my point is, I felt a little bit envious because I felt that when I was, and mind you, it was season 1, season 2, season 4, we never really got support from the network or the production company as far as having a premiere party. I think one year we had a big one. That's true, at the Palace. I remember that. But other than that, it was kind of like...
It was a botch job every year.
Nobody cared. And it was up to the cast to do it or to not do it.
It was so shoddy. Sometimes it was a sweatshop. It could be disgusting.
Well, you were there longer than I was. And
I went to very few, but I remember one being a disaster.
So now, season 1 of the show, they are getting a huge paid party at the Rainbow Room, flying in all these stars, all these executives, everybody. And listen, I don't expect to be invited to anything. I'm not on the show. I'm not part of the cast. But I'm not going to lie, and I'm not best friends with everybody on the cast of Housewives of New York. I felt bad for them. I thought they got dissed. I thought that for all the years and time and energy and money and everything and their heart and soul into a show that they were fired from, I think they should have been invited. But even if they didn't want to go, but I think they should have been invited. And I just think it makes it look bad to everybody.
This is so funny, too, because you're always coming from, like, the heart side of it.
Yes.
And I'm coming from the business side of it, the marketing of it.
Go ahead.
It's a botch job. Like, you're not going to get more juice out of the apple by having the previous ones and more pictures, more impressions, more posts, more Housewives posts.
You're right. And they would have gone, even though maybe they shouldn't have gone. They probably would have gone. And it's supportive. I mean, the truth is, like, the network, they want you to support it.
There aren't 100. Have 20 New York Housewives come.
They could have had a reunion of all of them passing the baton, which, by the way, I was very...
It's a good idea. I didn't think of it. I didn't care, but I like it.
I was very flattered, and maybe it wasn't done on purpose, but I'll give credit that it was done on purpose, that Andy invited me to Bravocon on stage the night that they were introducing Real Housewives, the new cast, for the first time to the world.
Because it was passing the baton.
I felt I was deliberately invited because I am the one who's got the heart with the big smile. And, it's funny, last night on Andy's show, Bryn, the Bethenny, right, the young one, she said...
God forbid. Let's go. I hope the one with the tag showing in her dress, the Israeli, is the Bethenny.
Oh, I don't
want to be the Bryn.
I just mean the young... Okay, young, hot. I think of young and hot, so take it as a compliment.
No problem.
She said...
No, respectfully, she's a beautiful girl. We're going to get into all of it.
You can say whatever. I'm just saying, I give her a compliment to give to you a compliment.
Okay.
And she said to Andy that the first person that, who gave her any whatever was me, and I didn't even remember this. She says that when she was scared going out on the stage, she looked to me and I gave her a big smile.
That's nice.
And that gave her and I'm glad I did that because that's what I want to do. And Andy said, so who have you heard from? Like, who was the first person you heard from? And, whatever. And they all were like, Jill Zarin. And Andy wanted to say something nasty, like catty to me. Like, of course it was Jill.
Yeah.
Like, I know he wanted to say it, but he didn't. He held his tongue. Because I don't do it because I get anything for it. I do it because that's really me. Do you not know me? It's 14 years,
no,
Andy.
Do
you
like
know
the
me?
Connection. You like a little action.
No, but I wasn't doing it to get press. Like, I did it privately.
I don't think you did it to get press.
9 months ago when they first got cast and said, if you ever need anything, here's my number. If you're scared.
I don't think you did it to get press. I think you like being in the mix a little.
I literally did it because I'm like Mama Bear, and I feel like I wish somebody helped me. I wish when I went on TV the first time, somebody said to me, if this happens, don't be frightened. It happens to all of us. Like, to give me some security.
I mean, you're such a bad... And Jenna Lyons asked a mutual friend if she could talk to me, and so did Kathy Hilton. And I want no part of it because it always comes back to bite you in the ass. I stay far away. I don't want to be part. Play your own game, live your own life. Because they and then of course Kathy later said, Bethenny said talk to Kyle, because I did say talk to. Anyway, that's just, you're a better person than I am, or not.
We're different.
I don't want to live it out. I don't want to talk about it.
By the way, you said it perfectly. You said, I'm the heart, you're the business. And that doesn't mean you don't have a heart. But that's like the first thing I go out with.
I just don't want to get involved. And then I gave advice, and then it's in a press for 5 months about the advice I gave, and it was the right advice. I just don't want to be involved. It's just who I am. Sorry. I just don't want someone to say to me, how do I play it? Because I also think it's inauthentic, and we can get to that. Because what am I going to tell them? The God handbook to how to play? Because they never want me to just say, be yourself. They want me to say, like, how did you do it? As if I have some secret sauce way that I, like, was so successful at it. And that's the problem, and we're going to get into that. That's what I ultimately mean. The people that are asking me want to know how to, like, win the game, how to play it.
Make money?
What's the game? Make money, how to be a quote unquote good housewife.
I don't even know what that means, Bethenny.
It means like, how to be successful, how to do what I did.
Who do you think the most? Okay, take you out of it. Who's the most? Who won the game? Who's winning the game right now in Housewives?
I think that Kyle and Mauricio are doing well because he has a real estate business that has benefited tremendously from the show.
Okay, so that's money.
So what are you talking about?
I don't know. Is there something else winning the
game?
No
one's benefited from a spirituality.
No, that's why I said. So they all want to know the secret to making money.
They just want me to help them navigate it, but ultimately people are doing it because they want to have that kind of success.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I'm breaking it down. Like,
I don't think they're doing it because I don't think Jenna Lyons wants to be popular. I mean, I think
she wants to make money.
Well, yes, and I actually think she looked a little embarrassed. We're gonna get into it. Okay, so I like you though, and you know I will mention it all. I like you. I'm like happy for the new people, like whoever they are. And now I know because I watched this episode, like you. But like, go for yours, go get it. Yay, new, refreshed, whatever. So when I speak about this today, I want to be respectful because they seem like nice girls. One of them did reach out, and I don't remember what I said to them, but I think it was on Instagram, and I said like, be yourself or try. You know, how can I do a fortune cookie advice to her? But I actually am rooting for them. Like I'm happy for them.
I am too.
And what we're going to say today is, to me, more about the producing and the casting of the show, because it's not about the girls individually. They seem nice. They seem attractive. They seem.
It's so funny you said that, because all my comments I said to Gary and to Allie was about production, and a lot of the other stuff not about the girls.
Right. I'm not going to say something bad about one girl. Like they all seemed lovely, and they're going in to get their
scared to death. I don't want to beat them up.
Well, no, I'm not. I literally don't want to. I have no interest in it.
No, but I think some of the shows, some of the cast members are. I think that other people are trying to like make them look bad or, jealous.
Let's back up and walk into it. So we're walking into a new show, and one of the girls did say publicly, one of the fatal errors that I think housewives make when they come in is they immediately want to separate themselves. Like I saw it happen with Carol. Like she's different, and she worked for ABC News, and she dated George Clooney, and like there's an elevation. It's just an energy of an elevation, almost like
I'm better than you are.
From one of those claws in one of those machines at a carnival that pulls out the rubber toys, and someone threw you into the house. Like, oh, yeah, I know, and I'm just different. These people around here, so everyone wants to show how different. So one of the girls said something about like, we're not flying around in private planes and our husbands, whatever. And Dorinda, and I know you have a history with her, but take the facts. Dorinda was like, yeah, none of us are like flying around in our husbands' private planes. Like, everybody on the Housewives wasn't that. It just wasn't an accurate statement. The new girls acted like they work for their money, and like Dorinda was on her back for her money. And Dorinda was married, but like Dorinda works now, and Ramona made her own money, and I was broke and hustling.
But you made your own money.
I made my own money, but I'm just saying doesn't seem like we're all just like, yes, Luann was married to someone and he left her money and then she made it into something else. It just felt like it was positioned as if like we're different because we really work and you guys were. That started the whole thing. So that was one thing. Okay, that happened before, and I read that. I think it was the same person, the girl Sai, and I'm not sure if that's the one who I reached out to on Instagram. I'm mixing up two of the women, but she's said ahead of time, and I'm not blaming the women for this because they've been watching this show for years, all the shows, studying, which is a mistake, and it can never be fresh like it was with us. But they're walking in, and she said, I borrowed $400,000 worth of clothes. I didn't, have to pay for one thing to wear. And I just wanted to put on outfits that the audience would like. and it really and she said, and we'll get to both, and she said like something, we just want to make a good show. And there was something about it to me was that it was like when I came back.
Are they actors now?
It was like when I came back and I think about what I was wearing in the first season and what you and I were wearing. Like
I don't
we
want
were
to
just
talk
wearing
about
whatever
it.
we had. Well, we were wearing whatever we had in our closet and we didn't think about it.
That
We
was
got
my
dressed.
biggest stress, you know. Do you remember that? Because they told us we couldn't wear the same outfit twice.
And they said we could have no wear black and no bright
all these rules. And
no
it's
patterns.
like they weren't paying for anything, but yet I mean, it was
we were
crazy.
making $7,250.
I lost so much money.
But the point is, we just wore whatever we had in our closet.
I know.
And we didn't get hair and makeup. Sometimes I went to the Trish McAvoy counter to buy a lip gloss and
I
get
know,
a free.
but you know what? They wouldn't cast us today.
Well, I've said that a million times.
They would never cast us
No,
today.
but so the girls have had so much time to study this medium and come in a social media world. And when I came back to the Housewives and it was Heather, Kristen, and Carol, and also no disrespect to them, everybody was in hair and makeup and wardrobe, and it was the Berkshires and ball gowns, and I was like,
I know.
what? And so that to me was the fatal error. I used to think, Kristen, like, where's your personality? I don't care about your skirt.
No, but is it a fatal error? I'll tell you why. Beverly Hills, I think the reason why it's the highest rated show, or one of the highest rated shows, and I love the show, is because I like to see the aspirational. I do like to see or I like to hate on it. Like maybe I'll hate the outfit, or she's too over the top, but I watch it anyway.
At Beverly Hills,
do like the houses, and I do like the clothes, and I love Erica Jane with the hair and the makeup, because maybe I can't do that, but I see someone else who can do it really well.
And she started it, and she started all of this that we're talking about.
She's
I give her
great.
full credit. No, she started it, but Beverly Hills is like not a real place to begin with. And
I know,
it's a
but
place,
that's who they're looking at. They're not looking at us.
But that's what the beauty and the charm of the show in New York was, in my opinion. Beverly Hills is big, giant, palatial. You could have a $7 million house in Beverly Hills and think about what that looks like. I had a $7 million house in Tribeca. It's an apartment.
I know.
Like, you can't compare. So they have that. We had to kind of, it's just you have to focus on different things. But I'm saying here, it felt like.
But we had houses in the Hamptons. I just have to defend it. These girls, I don't think do. Like houses. I think they all have apartments.
Right. But they were coming in produced. It felt forced. It felt like it all felt to me like it was produced. It felt like every single person had gone through like this glossing and this.
Well, I think it's
waxing.
the casting, like you said, it's the casting process. What they're looking for now is not what they looked for when they hired us.
Yes, but if you can listen, Erica brings a lot. Like, it's not just the way she's looking; she brings a lot, and so you've got to be able to back it up. And she came into an already seasoned cast as the one person that was shining like that. Then Dory copied her.
I
and
know.
Kyle
Dory looks
and
amazing.
Lisa Rinna copied
Stepped it up. They all
copied it because of Erica. But she walked into a seasoned cast. Here's 5 new shiny hood ornaments. We were all train wrecks.
I know.
We were all, I run with a fabulous circle of people. Then New York Magazine and the Real Socialites saw them. We're like, what the fuck? I was broke in a studio part. We were all flawed, and it's too perfect. It's forced.
I just feel like New York Housewives, like you said, was a certain kind of cast, and that they should have either kept it going. And I even said maybe make it second generation if there is
Or
one.
sprinkle in new and old.
Or even second generation, the Alleys, the Averys, if that generation
That's a good
wanted
idea.
to.
It's a very good idea.
Is to bring, to start to bring them, because they're going to get married. They're going to have weddings. They're going to have babies. And then they are the Housewives of New York,
Jesus
2.0.
Christ. Let's hope not.
No, but you know what I mean? 2.0. And that's what it is. This cast is not the same. And with social media and everything, it's just a different day. And I think it's a different show.
But I think that
not a bad show.
I think that they're redundant of each other. I think they all seem similar. They're all so fashion savvy, and they all seem very similar to me in casting. Like, they've cast the same type of person.
I mean, I think it's a little hypocritical, but does it bother you that when they let go, and I'm so defensive of New York, and I shouldn't be, I have no reason to be, but I am. When they let go of all the girls, they said that they wanted to cast a diverse cast of friends, real authentic. And they made a point to say real, authentic friends. And then they pick a cast that they don't know each other.
Because you can't cast like that. It's impossible in New York.
But then don't say you are.
Great. You love a little detail. You love that.
I do.
I know.
I do get into the mud.
But the girl, Sai said, we represent New York. So let's be honest about that. I am not, this is not shady. I think the girls are beautiful. I think they're smart. I think they're entertaining. I think they're good. I do not think that they, as a group, represent New York.
Well, nobody does. Nobody represents New York because New York has a million faces.
No, but like there's not one mom whose hair looks a wreck that has money. Yeah, fine. You want to have aspirational, they have money. Great. That has money that, like, my friends who make 7 figures a year look like train wrecks half the time. They're trying to get their kids to school. Like, it just represented a bunch of polished, ornaments to hang on a tree.
I want to make a commentary, and this is maybe I shouldn't say, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Well, I'm sure you shouldn't, but here we go.
Mention
it all. Okay.
Mention it all. So the original cast also included a girl named Lizzie.
McGraby.
Savetsky.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
A nice girl, and for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, it fell apart. But they filmed with her in the beginning, I think, for a week or two. They had to cut out all that. They chose to cut out the footage. They could have included
anti-Semitism.
Yeah, but it's irrelevant why.
Okay,
it doesn't matter.
Okay,
this
great.
conversation doesn't matter.
Okay, great.
So they could have kept her in and then kind of gotten rid of her, but they chose to like just edit her out.
Okay.
I think this is production. I think they had a problem starting the show from scratch the way they wanted to because they had to edit out everything they filmed with her. So all that was on the garbage. Because I felt last night's episode was like episode 3.
I felt like there was.
I feel like
I understand
missed
what you're
the
saying. There were a
beginning,
couple of flashbacks. I get it. And maybe
I just didn't like. I wanted to be introduced to them. Maybe it shouldn't take as long as it did with us.
Don't worry, I have a tick on my neck. That's cool.
Are you kidding me?
Literally, there's literally a tick on my neck.
Take a picture.
I'm not a paparazzi. I just have a tick.
You need because you should have a picture in case she gets.
I have a tick on my neck. Just wondering if anyone cares.
I care.
I've never had a tick on my body in my life.
Do you have a hot needle?
It's a fucking real tick, Jill.
You need a hot needle.
We don't have a hot needle, Gary. We're shooting Rewives. What the fuck are you talking? Just
Where's the tick?
Just get it out.
This is a tick.
Just get it out.
Send it to me. I'm
What do you send the picture? What are you gonna do? Make a portrait? I have a fucking tick on my piece of
You
paper.
have to send it to a doctor who's an immunologist to find out whether or not you need to get treatment.
I know it didn't bite me. It was.
What's your name, Jill Zarin?
It was just crawling on me. It wasn't sucking my blood.
Just give me 5 minutes.
Oh, great, Dr. Gary. What's
Jekyll.
Gary's last name?
Brody.
Can I squish it?
Yeah, no, don't squish it.
Why is that? That's a myth. What's gonna happen to it? It's gonna come back like a transformer. All right, it's all right. Back to the show. Why did I put it on your table? I don't know.
It's
That was
okay.
a reflux. Okay.
How did you feel it?
I felt a little crawling, and I don't fucking know. I don't like it. I wasn't even outside.
Somebody make sure it's a tick.
And we checked the dogs later.
Make sure it's not lice.
It's right here. No, it's a tick. It's a tick. And
Oh,
fucking,
my friend is like.
I don't even think about ticks. Like it's not something I think about. Jesus. All right.
Keep your Diet Coke there.
It was so tiny. I don't. Okay, let's get. All right. Jesus Christ. Whew. There was you were right. There were like some flashbacks, and it felt like you were picking up where something left off. And, oh, we had a party last time. You weren't there. We went out that night. You're right. There were references to other things.
And I don't think it's their fault. I think that they had to cut out all this footage with this girl.
I understand. Things are crawling all over me. Don't worry.
And it wasn't
Freaking out.
explained anywhere. Which I don't know how they could fix it. Like I don't think it could be fixable. But I'm noticing as somebody who's like in it,
Just freaking
that
out. I
some
don't have anything
things-
on me, but I have bugs crawling all over me, guys. It's okay.
are there any others?
Yeah, no, there's not. Thanks. He's not a friends. The real house ticks. The real house ticks of New York. Okay, so I think there was Ian Traeger was on my podcast, and he said the word about Studio 54 and the clubs he used to create in the Delano.
Oh, I
And
wish
he
I knew
said
him then.
there's an alchemy. And there was an alchemy with this group that was missing. There was like the combination of elements that I just wasn't feeling, and I can't. It's not. It's indescribable.
He saw the show last night.
No, he's talking about when something hits right with Studio 54, the way it
Oh.
felt. And he's saying the one thing you need in a restaurant or a
Chemistry.
club that's hard is an alchemy. It's a combination.
Well, that's
And
what we had, and we knew.
And it was an accident because
It was an accident.
No, because Ramona didn't want the people from Brooklyn.
I know.
Take
I know.
them
It was
away
so
at
good.
once.
No, it was so good.
we didn't
because
go-
she was willing to be the bad guy.
It just we didn't.
And she still is. They said last night on the show that she's rude to everybody. She's still rude to everybody.
Who?
The new
Oh,
girl
no,
said
Ramona
that
was
Ramona
willing to
was
be-
rude to everybody.
And
She was
Alex was willing to be the pariah in Brooklyn.
I know,
It was,
I know.
and we were.
'Cause everybody was willing to play their part, except for me. I had to
We
be
were
nice.
no,
'cause
we
I'm
weren't
nice.
playing a part. We were just being who we
I
were.
know, but I'm just saying, when you put together a thing, you have an antagonist. You have this. When you
Yeah, well, that's not us. That was in the casting. This is
that's
just different.
the casting. So
yes,
did
this
they
is-
cast this right, or did they write like Alchemy? We don't know yet. It's too soon to tell.
This. I do not think. I agree with what you're saying. I pitched a show to Bravo, funnily enough, with an interesting cast. On the day, it was bad timing because on the day that I was pitching to Bravo and all the other networks, it was the same day that I announced that I was leaving the Housewives. But I had
good
already had the
timing.
pitch in the deck, and I whatever. And it was a show called Power, Powher, and it was about a bunch of powerful women in New York City that all, and
HER, got it.
okay, and it looked
That took a second.
it looked like it was more like this group. you can't like make this group the real
Exactly my point.
So I agree with you that it should have been. It's a different
Listen,
show. This is Power, but they did it.
They had a problem that you
after I
weren't
pitched it.
married
No
because
problem.
you weren't a wife, but everybody else was married on Housewives of New York when we started.
Right, and that's not cute anymore. Are they all married?
No,
exactly.
no,
Right.
That bothers me.
You know, if you're starting over,
I always had to stick. Listen,
I feel like
I
this
know
bugs
people
on
got
me.
divorced, and you don't fight them because of divorce. And I know it ended up that nobody was married, and maybe that
No,
says
but-
something about what the show does to marriages. By the way, by the time they were done, there's nobody married.
no, but you make a point. I was an outlier, and they didn't want me originally.
They didn't want
They
you.
wanted. Andy Cohen did not want me.
Well, we had to sell them hard.
No,
And that's
Andy
why I
Cohen
called you
said
so
no.
much.
Jen O'Connell sold me. He said he didn't want me. I had a pre-existing life,
Right.
and they didn't want someone not married per se. But they had Joe years ago. But anyway, no, they didn't want me because of my pre-existing life. But they wanted a fifth wife. They really
Then they
did.
realized it was the best thing that they ever did.
But if
obviously.
you're scrapping a show, you go back for Housewives. It's called
well, that's
Housewives.
what I think.
Right, they're bugs.
It
crawling
bothered
over
me. And I also bothered me that every time they cast new housewives, they weren't married. And I'm like, why you keep casting people who aren't married? If they get divorced, it's one thing. They stay on the show, they get divorced, it's their life. But if you're going to bring in new people, bring in married people. At least give
It's
you...
also an archaic name. Like,
The best part of New York were the men. I mean, really. Or the men, the relationships, the divorces,
oh,
all
the
of it.
Simon, the Mario.
Do you know what? I think the reason why season 13 failed, because it was the pandemic, so they had problems filming with other people and all that stuff. There were no men because nobody was married. Nobody had a boyfriend. Or if they did, they wouldn't put them on TV. So for whatever reason, nobody would have a man. I think the best part was the Mario, the Simon and the Bobby, and even everybody in Beverly Hills.
Respectfully, everybody was younger and lighter, and Ramona was like free and flirty. It's
I
not
know,
cute
but
to see everybody shitting their bed and taking bidets, and it's like the Golden
No,
Girls.
I agree with you.
meets
That's why
fucking
you need, when you get a girl who's married with kids, you get the whole thing. Like Erin, who's on the new show, she's got a husband and kids.
No,
she
no, no,
brings
I know,
more
it's
to
more
the table
characters.
than someone who...
I get it.
But someone who's single and dating is good too because she brings stuff. But
Okay, but guess what? We could talk about the bugs crawling on my neck, but also, I thought it was too much family. No, I'm okay. I thought it was too much. It was a lot of family early. Like I didn't need to see the whole family.
That. You have you have to set them up.
A little, but I didn't need all. It was a lot of like the
I didn't
kids
think there
and
was
the
enough. Isn't that two opinions? I didn't see enough. I wanted to see more setup. And you said I had enough in 2 seconds.
I could see who the people were in a real quick scene, but I didn't need to be at a Shabbat dinner so soon. Let's do just the tip and later we'll fuck. Like I don't need to see the whole family on the first. Like I'm okay. I can see who everybody is. Let's weave it in. That's not the point. Who cares?
know.
That's not the most important part to me. I thought
Well, I did feel bad for the little boy. I mean,
Okay, you're really in the weeds. You care about the little boy who
Did
had
you
his
see
pants down, who made a poo-poo in his
bothered
pants.
me.
Okay,
I
all
did.
right. Well, take that up with human resources, but I don't know what to say. I like
It
honestly.
didn't bother, you knew what I was talking about.
It felt, yeah, I felt,
so
yeah.
you remembered it.
Yeah, it felt so. Also, there's like, yeah, okay. So it felt to me like Jenna Lyons. First of all, she's an accomplished woman. I had sort of heard of her. I didn't really hear of her until the person who I know said to me, "Do you want to talk to her? She's gonna be on the show." I've heard of J. Crew, obviously, and it sounds like it was a really big job. But the show is setting it up. Like Lady Gaga has joined the cast of Alex, Simon, and Ramona, and it's like okay. So everybody's like, she's on this like weird different pedestal, and I feel that that's interesting. Not her fault, but okay.
Well, they definitely put her on every single talk show. Like she was on Today's Show alone. I think she was on Tonight. I mean, she was on Tonight Show alone. Like they really have been using it. But I have to tell you, I was very impressed with her last night. I didn't know what to expect. I did know who she is. Because I was always in the fashion.
Oh, you were. I
business.
was not. Right.
Right. And so she was iconic. Like she turned that company around.
Oh,
was
okay.
credited with turning J. Crew around to be the coolest, hottest
So
thing.
she's a major businesswoman.
Major.
You were that excited, by the way.
I was excited.
No, you were that excited about us having a countess, a real live
I
countess.
did.
You
I
were
was
so.
very excited.
I thought a billionaire was rolling in. I thought it
she
sounded,
reminded you to call her Mrs. Dillisepson.
but I didn't even know what countess meant.
I know. I didn't
you
either,
just
but
you
it
were
just
so
sounded
excited.
good. I was so excited.
I got
What do I know? I was like 40 years old. I knew nothing.
No, I know, but I was countess adjacent excited. I was
let
like,
me tell you
okay, we have a countess. We're excited.
I really liked Jenna last night, and I like that she's the mama bear of the group. She's like sitting back going, okay, I'm going to have to be like the mama bear here. And
I think Carol Radziwill would have been good on that cast too. She fits in with
Yeah, she
that
would've.
group. It's very
There's
cool.
another tick, I think, on that door.
No, it's not. You're being paranoid. It's another type of bug. Freak. Stop it now.
It's a
We're in the
bug.
Hamptons. It's not a tick.
Okay, it's not a
Okay.
tick.
Tick, tick, tock. Okay. I thought that she seemed like she's a little horrified. Like she's a little embarrassed to be there. And she's there for business. She thinks it's a good idea. But she doesn't seem like she hangs with this fabulous circle of people. That's what I thought.
I agree, but I think that she's happy she did it. She's getting so much. We saw her. She was doing what The Oscars? She was on E commenting on
so
the dress
she's
of the
capitalizing
Oscars.
on it, and she handled herself well.
And
Okay,
good for her.
I agree. Good for her. And
I like the role that she's taking on.
She seemed interesting. I think so. When we all started, we didn't have. Ramona had a liquidation business, and her husband was selling the crosses, and Bobby, had a Zarin Fabrics business, but we all didn't have a business. It felt a little like they cast this show based on what the Real Housewives of New York became. Like everybody now, like Dorinda, she has a business because she sells stuff, and that's because of the Housewives.
Right.
Luann,
She did nothing before.
I'm a cabaret.
Nothing.
That's what I'm saying. They cast this group as a new extension and a refresh based on what they became. We were all nobody and nothing. We just lived in New York, and so
because they didn't get Real Housewives. In other words, they didn't get like what you're saying that doesn't exist anymore. Like, you know who's like a Real Housewife? Like Nikki Hilton. Not that she would ever do it in a million years. She would be the one to cast. Why? Because she has brands. That's not true. She does have brands, but she lives the life of a socialite. She really does.
If they were casting a socialite show, I think she'd be good to cast on this show with these people because it's like it's a little out of touch. I'm saying Alex and Simon were showing their unfinished apartment and raising kids and made a couple of dollars, but and you're saying they would never cast that show today because on the Housewives today, you have to you don't have to be rich, you just have to look rich.
Well, you borrow $400,000 worth of clothes.
Right, exactly. But that's the problem. So I think I think that's the problem. I think it's focusing more on the frosting and not on the cake.
Well, we don't know yet.
Well, the first episode looks like they're focusing more on the frosting and not on the cake. Let's get into the show. Okay, so now let's talk about Brynn. Brynn is a brand manager living in the West Village. She's young, she's cute, she's peppy. To me, she felt a little bit like she wanted to get all the lines in. Like she had to get the funny line.
I thought she was the instigator. They said at the recap on Watch What Happens Live that everyone pointed to what's her name? Sorry, to Erin as the troublemaker, as the pot stirrer. I thought from watching it, it's Brynn.
Interesting. I just thought she was trying to hit her beats of say a dick joke, say a funny thing, say the thing, like the bump, like land the line. I felt a little forced.
Bit.
Forced was a lot of what I thought. I thought that she was cute and peppy, and I said to Paul,
sexy.
She was cute, and I have a Brynn as a daughter, and I was and she seemed nice, and she seemed flirty. I liked the woman who was a real estate, Erin. So Erin is a realtor, interior designer, living in Tribeca.
Yep.
I don't know. I liked her. I liked that she had was into her family.
Yes.
And she seemed very
grounded.
Exactly. I liked her.
And a good businesswoman.
Exactly. I liked her.
A hustler.
She seems like a hustler.
I respect a hustler.
She had her information down about Jenna's apartment. And I liked Jenna, but I didn't get a lot from her.
You know what I didn't like?
What?
And this is something that I don't like when things would never happen in real life. You know what would never happen in real life?
What?
We're all sitting around at Jenna's apartment, and you and I might have had a little thing, and I say, you know what? You and I have to get up and go in the other room and clear it. I think we did that on the show. I never liked that.
Well, going in the other room, I can't imagine.
Would you ever be at a party and say, you know what, Jill? Come on over here. I got to go clear this with you.
Maybe go by the kitchen. I didn't have as much a problem with that as I can't imagine someone Nene with the closet, going into her closet. I can't imagine someone going into my closet and putting on a piece of clothing. I find that to be violation.
Jenna was horrified, but she did it with a smile.
I think so. And I find it, first of all, it's so next level. It's not only going into a closet, but going into a closet of a fashion, you're saying icon. It's so disrespectful.
And they didn't know it was their first time in the apartment. They said it was their first time.
Had
they been close friends, sure, I would go in. I went in your closet tonight, but I was with you.
Yeah, but where's that interview bite of Jenna being like, what the fuck? She was just like,
that is a good question.
Where's that? I would have been like,
because maybe she's not there yet. Maybe she's not there in the interviews.
Where's that producer getting her there? That's a really fun. She definitely wanted to go, what the fuck
she
are you
wanted
doing?
to say it.
That's insane.
So that was missing.
Yeah, so that was really
but
missing.
But not her fault, by the way.
And then Jessel is the fashion publicist living in Chelsea.
I didn't get to know her.
Same. Sai,
No
the creator,
opinion.
influencer.
Didn't
She and her
get to know
husband
her
seem
either.
cute. That's another thing where with you're going to put this nice relationship, your partners, you're loving, you're putting this nice relationship right on the show. The guy.
Would they be friends in real life? Some of them, I think that they would be friends organically. Maybe they hadn't met, but they would be.
They all seem like the same person. They're all fashionistas in New York, which I don't know that many of those people.
I don't know.
So
Erin's
I don't know
not
five.
a fashionista. She's a realtor. Uba's a model. Well, she's a fashion. She is. I guess so.
It's a lot of crossover. Let's get into the restaurant. Now, I really want to talk about, there was a thing about
Oh my God, did that bother you, the beeping all night? It bothered me.
Multiple bleeps is a problem.
Multiple.
It's shoddy. Someone's
Why didn't they just say it? Because some people defended it and said it's a good restaurant. Why are they protecting a restaurant? They don't protect anybody.
It doesn't make any sense. That's
you know what I mean? They never protect anybody about anything.
Of the restaurant.
Yeah, what was that about?
I thought to myself, I said to Paul.
I knew it was catch, right?
I said catch too because yeah, I thought it was catch, and then it tracks because it's like disco dining and hip and whatever. It's like, you know.
By the way, Allie took me there. A couple years ago?
I went in Aspen to catch in February with Bryn. Saw Heather Dubrow. How insecure do you have to be to define your life by a restaurant?
If I'm meeting a new cast of a show, which is what they were doing, they were trying to get together to get to know each other. Why would you ever care where you're eating? Do you think that was for the show, or do you think that was real? Do you think they did it in anticipation of having something to fuck around? I think many things happened. Well,
first of all, I brought the show to catch, I think, for the first time because I know the owners. So we shot there. Once the house, there's a little shoddiness going on at the production because once the producers get a restaurant that they can clear, that's where they're going to call. They have 10 restaurants in their pocket,
right.
You know, unless you're like me and Dorinda giving them 75 restaurants with our friends' names and forcing things that don't matter. Go to my friend's restaurant, stupid things that don't matter in the first season. Then later you don't care if you go to fucking IHOP.
Right.
So catch was what a producer said. Just why don't you do it at catch? And the girl, the realtor.
But they didn't film there because you never saw anything.
Something happened and then they took it off. Maybe catch said no.
Maybe Lizzie was there and they had to cut her out.
All right. Jill, I know you want to do all these conspiracy theories.
It's not a conspiracy. I'm just saying that's probably why. It's not a conspiracy.
But this is the show that we have. And on the show that we have, we had a bleeped out catch.
And a scene that we never saw.
And a scene that we never saw. And I do agree with you. Why was it taken out?
And I'm going to find out.
And you're going to find out. Detective Jill. But what I want to know is, I'm saying about BTS, producers were probably like, this is a restaurant we can clear. We know we can clear it. Great. There's a reason now that it's been bleeped out because there's something that's been said that you can't say something bad. Oh, because restaurants that you've signed clearances with, you can never say something bad about it. So saying I wouldn't be caught dead in a place.
Oh, so that's probably they filmed there. And I am totally guessing that. Allie, can you text her? Find out.
And they made a big mistake because now the only thing on the internet that people are talking about is what the restaurant is. But it's great for catch. So I am here to say,
any press is good press for catch.
I am here to say that Catch restaurant has great sushi, great steak, great disco dining,
great music,
disco dining. And to say I wouldn't be caught, that crystallizes the whole episode. To say I wouldn't be caught dead at catch, that's the problem with the catch. That's what they are. It's glossed over frosting. Who gives a fuck? Talk about what's going on. Talk about the meat, not the fucking restaurant.
Right.
Let's get into the meat of the matter. So that's my problem. We're all so cool. We wanted to catch. I'll go to catch right now.
But it takes a minute to get into it. You can't get into it until you have. That's why I said I think it was episode 3 or 4.
And you know what? Semi-retraction, because she's being honest. She really, in her real life, wouldn't be caught dead at catch. So that's a character. There you go. She wouldn't be caught dead at catch. That's who she is. I don't even know who said it, so don't be mad at me. It could be the girl I supported on Instagram. I love you. You're beautiful. Don't change. Sorry. I just was like.
Right. Well, this is what don't hate the player, hate the game. They all signed up for a reality show to be talked about, right? I've said to them, listen, don't take anything personally, and just make sure they spell your name right. That's it.
Got it. It's a big but even the too cool for schools like Brooklyn, we're so Brooklyn, we're so cool, we're so hipster, it's just very cool and very forced cool. That's what I really felt.
When they said they were going to recast the show and bring on new people, new places, they went back to Brooklyn and the city. I thought they were going to pick up someone in Staten Island, maybe Queens, maybe the Bronx. I mean, I did. I thought that they were really going to diversify this thing. Instead, they went back to
Then that would have been a show called The Boroughs, which is a great idea. But that's too much. Too far hour, Staten Island would be a shit show. I hear what you're saying. But I like that as an idea. They're going to have to go, you know what I mean? We'll see how this does. Okay, so, and I got the sense when Jenna came over to, I'm getting confused. Sorry, everybody, because I just watched for the first time. Jenna came to Jessel's house. It felt like a housewife scene that is they don't know each other. And to your point, I knew you going in. You really knew Ramona. That's a chemistry. That's the alchemy. There's a little connection to get
you always
to the
said
next
that I was the
person.
connector on New York, right? I knew
100%.
everyone. There's nobody here on this cast that knows them all. So they're all kind of,
Well, no,
but they will by the time we get to the middle of the end.
No, but you knew everyone and they knew each other. If there was a reputation thing, Luann knew.
I just rewatched our first episode. I mean, when I think about.
We're going to do that.
No, but it was real. Ramona did not invite me to this cooking party in the Hamptons, even though I had just seen her.
Because she thought she ran with a fabulous group of people in the Hamptons.
And I wasn't part of it. And that was so real. And I remember me and Brad being in the house, and we ran over to American Hotel to meet Luann to tell her what had happened. And Luann was like, I went over there and you weren't there, so I left right away.
No,
that was all
in real life. And it wasn't for the show. You really wanted to be and you felt left out.
Yes.
And I didn't want to, I would never want to be there.
It was all real.
Yes, it was totally real. It was totally real. Going to Alex and Simon's house, if I thought about what people would have thought, would I talk about the state of their home?
So what I don't know is the connections between these girls, how long they go. That's what I'm missing. Do they know? Some of them I feel like know each other a little bit, maybe.
It doesn't seem like a long time. It doesn't.
But who knows who? Like, where is any history so that we can see the relationships?
Right. So there's a photo on Instagram so two of them peeled off, went to Casa Cipriani because that's hip, and Catch is not, and then they got caught.
Side note, did you read about I don't know where.
Whatever it is, I didn't read it.
That Casa Cipriani has now thrown out all the housewives who belong to Casa Cipriani because Taylor Swift stopped her membership because she was there and someone, not a housewife, but somebody took her photo. And she felt violated, and she said it's become like a low-class place, and there's like housewives here as if it's a bad thing.
She said housewives?
No, she didn't, but that was kind of like what they interpreted her leaving, and they said, well, we have to get rid of housewives element so that we can get Taylor Swift and her people back because all the A-listers have left.
So first
and
of all,
they're blaming it on housewives.
First of all,
that was before this aired.
First of all,
that was before this aired. When they see this,
Soho
they're going to
House
have a heart
doesn't really
attack.
allow the housewives. But first of all, they started that, except Kyle is now a member, and I'm a member of the houses because I left the show, but I didn't get in until I left the show. But Casa Cipriani, where I've never been and I won't have a membership,
been.
and
It's
I like.
very good.
No,
I
I'm
don't
sure
need
it's
to be a
great. I'm
member.
just saying that sentence alone, would make me. I don't want to be a member of anything. I don't need anything. I'm just saying that sentence alone.
That
would
they won't
embarrass
let them
me.
in?
That makes me want to not be ever on the Housewives. Like just that sentence is
Well,
a
it's
lot,
embarrassing, but this is
Yeah.
the funny thing. That story came out before the show aired, where they talk about Casa Cipriani.
So they fucked him again, right?
They fucked him again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And they didn't fuck him. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's like they
And
don't
they
want
had
to
no.
be.
And when they filmed this, they had no idea that
No,
they were going to
right.
get thrown out of the club. And by the way, I don't know if they were thrown out of the club. I don't even know if they're members of the club. I'm just saying, if you look it up, Casa Cipriani Housewives, you're going to see that they said they're throwing out all the housewives.
Right, like Casa Cipriani's not interested in being promoted on the Real Housewives.
They didn't even know about that, though. That's the point. They think Taylor Swift left because the element is wrong.
It's just funny that they're saying. So they want to be wait. There's the whole. What's the whole thing? I wouldn't want to be a member of a club,
right? That they would take
that would
me.
have me as a member.
Exactly.
Well, that
There you
fits
go.
right here because they
Yes.
don't want to be at the place that would take them. Catch is the place that would take them and is fun and is great.
That's right.
And they think they're too cool for that.
That's right.
And now they fuck themselves twice because Catch don't want them and neither does Casa Cipriani.
Oh, I don't think Cipriani. I don't think they're going to be there anytime soon. But you never
But
know.
I'm saying now you alienated your whole base. You got nobody.
But they didn't do it on purpose.
So
And by the way, there's so many other great clubs in New York besides Casa Cipriani that I would think is far more
I know nothing about it.
elitist.
I'm sure it's lovely. And then by the way, and then also to say the Olive Garden is chicer. Ooh, that's so funny. By the way, I like the Olive Garden, but yeah, they brought in the Olive Garden. Shots fired.
But just spell it right. Go ahead.
To spell it right.
Yep.
Okay, so what about the shoe closet? Did you care?
I would like to have seen more of it. I feel like they glossed over the closet too fast. It looked vast. It looked massive. I mean, especially for New York.
It's nice that there's a shoe closet. It's a cool thing. It's interesting.
Fantastic.
It's just interesting.
Anything that shows money and all that stuff, I think, if not just myself, I think fans love to be
It's luxury
a voyeur.
porn.
Yes.
Okay. It's luxury porn. Okay. And then I don't care about any of the game and the sex. I just feel like I don't care about that. It's like, let's play a game. I
Well,
just
they
don't
needed
care.
to do something to get to know you.
And
So-
each other.
Right. So that was okay.
I know. It's fine. It's filler, but
fine.
I like, if you care, we can talk about
you know,
it, but
how
I don't
else
care.
do you get to know them? And that's what I went back to our episode, season 1, to see how did the producers put together our show. And it was kind of slow. Like the first episodes, we were each individual
I have
for
the
a
beats
while,
from our first show. I want to
you know,
talk about it.
by
because-
ourselves. And then we started to get together, but we really had alone time to get to know you a little bit.
Do I have the beats, the scenes of that?
Because this is the thing. When we went on New York Housewives, other than you, we were nobody, right? People
Nobody.
knew you maybe a little from being on The Apprentice, but nobody. These girls have had a year in the press because the show's a success. They were announced. They were at Bravocon, and they've been in the press. Jenna Lyons, everyone knows she's been getting gigs all year before the show even aired. We didn't have that. So I guess they feel like the audience knows them already.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it is different. You can't compare then to now, which is,
No.
you can't compare then to
And
now.
social media.
You can't the cheese, it's not, I like,
Okay, Gary,
basta.
I have to give him
Enough
credit.
with the cheese.
Gary, what'd you call it? Oh, the Mousewives.
Gary's not here.
Gary said they should call it
Gary
the Real
screams,
Mousewives.
Gary, I'm not here. The Real Mousewives.
The Real
That's
Mousewives.
good. Paul loves Gary. Look at Paul. He's so happy. He loves
He
the Real
found his best friend
Mousewives.
now.
He said, the Real Mousewives. That's good. How
good.
did someone else not
And you know,
get that?
for Bethenny to give you a compliment, it's big, Gary.
That's a comedy compliment. A comedy compliment.
That's tough.
That's literally a compliment. The Real Housewives. That's a good one. Yeah, it was
cute.
cheesy, but yeah,
It was cheesy.
it's a
No
lot.
pun
It's
intended.
it's a lot. It's a lot. It was just a lot on the cheese. Like and it looked
Because I
disgusting.
think they didn't have any. I don't know. I think something. I told you. I know you say it's a conspiracy. Something was missing. I think they had a problem. But I think it's going to get fixed because she left after 2 weeks of filming, and then they're going to get all their footage back. I think they had to cut around a lot of things because she was there.
Okay,
That's my gut, and I'm going to find out and verify.
It was 40 acres of cheese. It was just a lot of cheese on the table. It gave me cheese anxiety.
Allie would have been happy. She loves.
I like cheese too, but I don't like hot like party cheese. Like
Oh, I
sitting
don't.
out.
I don't do fondue cheese.
It just,
but
no, it
that's
just was
personal.
like out. It's just not a good entertaining thing because it just like gets sweaty and like a little bit of cheese fine, but like an acre of coffee table cheese, it just like starts glistening and
again,
weird.
they talked about something that she did that we never saw. And that
It's
was
like
like
rule
by the way,
101
rule
of
101
reality.
is you're not allowed to talk about something you didn't see.
Did it
we
happen
never
on camera?
We didn't see her give the cheese, so we weren't offended.
What?
This
Oh,
other girl
no,
was
no.
offended.
I forgot to say. I don't know what happened. I saw the show and I wrote what happened.
I'm telling you, something happened. We missed it. I
you-
don't know why they edited it out.
No, but what are you? My understanding was someone's mad about someone else said they really ate cheese and didn't. It sounds like
no. Somebody brought a cheese platter to someone's house and it wasn't good enough. I thought. No.
it was.
Okay,
It was
we need
an
your fans to
inferior
write.
cheese?
Somebody's going to have to
Yeah,
write
you
in.
got it.
We need help.
It was inferior cheese platter.
That wasn't big
But
enough,
there was
wasn't
something
good
else
enough.
about someone who said they don't eat cheese.
I have no idea. Can somebody please straighten this out?
Wait, I feel like there's something that happened on the Housewives with a cheese platter with Dorinda with that medium. There was something about bringing over a charcuterie board and it wasn't good enough. I'm having like total deja vu,
vu?
but
I
it's
don't know.
real. It has something to do with around the time of the medium and Carol's apartment and cheese. I was shoveling the cheese in a turtleneck. I'm hot thinking about it. I was like mainlining cheese. But there's something about cheese, but I don't, it sounds,
That's where they get
but
too
do you have
much
any
caught up.
idea what the fight was about?
I thought it was, no, not really. The
And do
answer
you
is
know,
no.
wasn't there a thing where the one girl,
And that's the thing, it's a forced fight. See, that's where you're starting
it's a
something
forced,
over nothing.
last night was a forced show. So
But it didn't have to be a forced show.
the
That's
girl
my
Erin
point.
had a tag showing through too. Someone that works for me told me that you could see the tag that like, so you're borrowing clothes. Like, where are the real people? Let's see the real people here.
Oh, they'll come.
Okay.
They're coming.
Okay, great.
I think
Amazing.
so.
I can't wait.
I
Okay.
have
mean,
high hopes. I do. I have high
okay.
hopes.
Are you a watcher of Housewives overall? I'm not. I would never have watched this. if we
Some of
weren't
them I
doing
do.
this.
I like Beverly Hills, but I haven't watched Atlanta. I don't watch OC.
But would you have definitely watched this? Because I would not have. Not in no shade. I just watch other shows.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I
Tell
want
me-
to say I would have.
No, I want to say, go for yours to the girls. Congratulations. Go with God. We're both generally positive about it. We're at a different age. I don't watch the house.
I don't.
But do
I
you
never
care?
felt someone else's success has anything to do with mine. Your success or failure will never
Everybody
affect
should
me.
right. No,
Ever.
of course.
And vice versa. So I want them to do well, and
Me
also
too.
I want the franchise to live forever because then we live forever. Seriously,
Oh,
if Housewives of
I-
New York goes on forever, so do we.
That's so
Whether you
funny
like it
that-
or not, it's true.
Oh, I love that you think about it. I don't think about. I don't think
I
about
don't
that
think
at
about
all.
it every day. I'm just saying, but that's the reality. So the better their success is my success.
Do you care about watching the show? Do you care? Are you invested? Be honest.
Not yet. No.
Will
I think
you
I
watch
need to
next
hear-
time?
I don't know if I'll watch it like waiting for Sunday night to come. I don't think I'm invested yet, but I don't know how you could be invested in anything yet.
I think I watched our first episode back. I kind of was interested. The interested with you and
I know. I fell
You
asleep
send
after
Allie to
episode
fat
3.
camp on a private
Okay,
plane
it
that
wasn't
Bobby
fat
got.
camp. It was a detox center for health.
I understand, but that's what everybody thinks. Allie looks beautiful. She's here. She's 30 years old. She's barely survived that, but she's here to talk about it, and you guys are very close. But yeah, I'm just saying
I know.
that was a compelling
funny.
episode. I don't know if I went to Alex's
Because it was real. Because that was happening in my
and
real
it was
life.
gritty because real life is flawed and I just want to say that real life and real people, no matter how much money they have, is gritty and flawed. I've been into very rich, very successful people's homes, looked in their produce drawer, and it's disgusting. It doesn't look perfect, and I've had anxiety about it. So, okay, so real life is messy. And no matter
And I
how much
wanna
money you
watch that.
make, no matter how much money you make, it's messy. And they have gone through
Look, Erica
a
Jane,
detailed car
messy.
wash.
Erica Jane, messy.
It got messy. And it's just different. She came in as like a performer that was doing all these videos to begin with. So she walked in there like, I'm a performer. And but there's not 6 of those.
But after you watch her long enough, it started to become real. That's why. If you watch long enough,
yeah, but that was her thing.
it'll break down. That's why I'm saying we got to give this whole show a chance because
Oh, you mean, no,
we got it. It'll start to
no,
evolve.
but coming in, Lisa was flawed. Like everybody, Lisa Vanderpump and Lisa, people have been, and they were, even though they were dressed in crazy outfits, Salt Lake City, I only have ever seen one episode for this show. They were still a mess enriched labels. It's not. I'm not only talking about the labels.
I
I'm
love
talking
Salt
about
Lake City, by the way. It's a great show.
There was still a mess in the
it's
first.
a great show with that whole.
But it was a great. To your point, it was a great show on the first episode ever. I was invested. I was like, who the fuck are these lunatics?
I know. Oh, I love the woman who's no longer on the show. The one who's the priest.
The granddaughter. She
Yes,
married her
the
grandfather.
grandpa.
Yeah,
I mean, that was the best thing I ever saw on television.
Me.
What about the one in jail?
Right. So
who
I'm
has
saying,
no sense of, no sense of reality.
I've seen a reality show of the Housewives first episode and been invested.
Okay, so the
I'm
question
not
is, with these girls, are they too self-aware that they can't get messy and real? We don't know yet.
Everybody gets messy once they're in this. I don't mean can they get messy, and ripping someone's hair out and fighting is not messy. I mean, who are they? I had an understanding of who you were the first episode of The Housewives. You had an understanding of who I was the first episode of The Housewives. Okay? It's an essence. And I have no understanding of who they are, and they have been focusing on the trappings and not what really matters. They've been focusing on the social media, the borrowed outfits, the hair, the makeup, the fashion, the restaurants, and not
it
the
can't
basics,
it can't
the
survive
foundation.
that long. They will start to dig.
The house has no foundation. So
that's why I said it's episode 3 or 4. You said you didn't want to hear all that stuff, and I said you have to have the foundation before you can get to 3 or 4. And you said you wanted to only see a little bit of it. You wanted to get right in.
It's because of the missing footage. Okay, I'll meet you there.
Uba, she's fabulous.
Uba, she's pretty and sweet, and maybe
and I met her in person. I had lunch with her. I took her and
of course I did.
And Erin out for lunch with Allie.
Obviously,
and I did 6 months ago. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But Uba was so
lovely.
Elegant and so beautiful that I almost
cute.
think like I don't know if she belongs on a show like this. She's so sweet and
By
good.
the way, I felt that way about Kristen. I thought Kristen was a beautiful person. I just didn't think she was a house. There are people that I like,
but they just put her on in St. Bart's. Let's see how she did.
And I heard she did well because you have to like rise to that occasion. I just mean overall, there are people that I have thought are amazing people that aren't necessarily good housewives. And then you get into an argument because you're like, all right, you look beautiful. I love the skirt and the 2 mismatched shoes on purpose. Get the fuck out of the way. We got to get dirty in the mud pit now.
Right.
So it's just different.